The Last Letter. Part 1. The Call That Changed Everything. Dad didn't come home last night. Emma stood by the door, holding her little brother Noah's hand. Her voice didn't tremble, but her blue eyes were red from holding back tears. The sun was rising, but their small apartment felt like night, quiet, cold, and heavy. Their mother, Clare, didn't answer. She was still sitting on the carpet near the couch, clutching her husband's jacket. It was a faded brown coat, with torn pockets and coffee stains on the sleeves. The kind of coat you wear to work every day for years, even when it gets too old, because it's yours, because it smells like home. She hadn't moved since midnight. She just held the jacket close to her face, whispering things no one could hear. The clock kept ticking. The silence grew. At exactly 7:10 a.m., the phone rang. Claire jumped. Emma froze. Noah hid behind his sister. Claire picked it up slowly, her fingers trembling. "Yes?" Her voice cracked. "Mrs. Thompson?" The voice on the other side said. It was deep, calm, but too calm, police calm. "Yes. I'm Clare Thompson. What happened to James?" There was a long pause. "I'm sorry, ma'am. Your husband, James Thompson, was found unresponsive this morning. We did everything we could. I'm so sorry." Claire didn't scream. She didn't fall. She didn't say a word. She simply put the phone down gently, stood up slowly, and collapsed into Emma's arms. Noah began to cry. Emma didn't know what to do. She was only 13, but she held her mother tightly and whispered, "It's okay, Mom. I'm here." But it wasn't okay. It would never be okay again. Part 2. The silence that followed. The next 3 days passed like shadows. No one spoke much. No one laughed. No one slept through the night. Claire moved through the house like a ghost, folding clothes that didn't need folding, cleaning dishes that were already clean, checking the door lock again and again. Emma watched her mother carefully. Sometimes she'd wake up at night and see Claire sitting by the window, holding an old photo of James, her husband. She didn't cry out loud. She just sat, staring into the dark, whispering something only her heart could understand. Noah didn't ask about Dad anymore. He just hugged his toy rabbit tightly and stayed close to Emma. He was only 6, but he knew something was broken, and it couldn't be fixed. The funeral was on Friday. It was raining. Not the kind of rain that washes things away, but the kind that stays in the sky like tears held back too long. They dressed James in his favorite blue shirt, the one Claire had bought for his birthday, the one he wore on their last family picnic. Emma remembered that day. They had laughed so much. James had carried Noah on his shoulders and made silly jokes. Claire had smiled in a way Emma hadn't seen in a long time. Now that shirt was silent, just like the man inside it. Part 3. The Letter. 2 days after the funeral, Emma was going through her father's drawer. She wasn't looking for anything. She just missed him. His cologne, his handwriting, his little notes, and then she found it, a white envelope. On the front, it said, "To my family, open when you miss me." Emma stared at it for a long time. Her fingers were shaking when she held it. She thought about calling her mom, but something told her to read it first. She sat on her father's old chair, took a deep breath, and opened the envelope. Inside was a letter, handwritten, carefully, like he had taken his time. Dear Claire, Emma, and Noah, if you're reading this, it means I couldn't come home. And if I couldn't come home, then I want you to remember something. I love you, not just in the big ways, but in all the small ones too. Claire, you gave me more than a marriage. You gave me a life, a family, a reason to wake up and fight every day. I know things haven't always been easy. I know I've come home late too many nights, tired, with barely a smile. But every night I thanked God for you. Emma, my brave girl, you were the first person to call me Dad. And from the moment you first held my finger, I knew I would never be the same. You're smart, you're strong, and one day you'll change the world. I just know it. And Noah, my little man, you won't remember all of this maybe, but I hope you'll remember my stories, the ones about the moon, the lions, the magic trees. I told them not just to make you sleep, but to help you dream. Keep dreaming, son. I don't want tears. I want laughter. I want you to live. Because I lived well. Because I had you. Always yours. James. Emma read the letter 3 times. By the 4th time, her tears had blurred the words. She walked to the kitchen and handed the letter to Clare without a word. Clare read it once, and for the first time in days, her lips moved into a soft, broken smile. She hugged Emma tight. Then Noah joined. The 3 of them stood there, holding each other. No words, just love. And in that moment, James was home again. Part 4. The Promise They Made. That night the house felt different, not fixed, not healed, but something had shifted, like a small light had returned after a long storm. Claire placed the letter in a frame and set it on the mantel, right beside James's favorite family photo, the one where they were all laughing, the one taken before time split their lives into before and after. Emma sat by the window that night, hugging Noah close. He had fallen asleep, holding the letter like it was a treasure. Maybe it was. Claire walked over, sat beside Emma, and whispered, I want to be strong, but I don't know how. Emma didn't answer right away. She looked at her mother with eyes far older than her age and said, Then we be strong. Together. And just like that, a promise was made, not with words written down, not with grand speeches, but in the quiet, broken breath between 2 souls who had lost the same man and were trying to find pieces of him inside themselves. Part 5. The Days That Followed. Claire went back to work after 2 weeks. She stood outside the bakery where she worked, holding her apron tightly in both hands. Her co-workers gave her hugs and soft smiles and a silence that said everything they didn't know how to say. Inside, the bread still smelled the same, the coffee still steamed, but the world felt unfamiliar. Emma started doing the laundry. She made breakfast every morning. She walked Noah to school and helped him with his drawings every night. He was obsessed with stars now. Every picture was of the sky, bright, big, endless. Maybe Daddy lives up there, he once said, pointing to a yellow star on the page. Emma kissed his head. Maybe he does. Noah smiled. Then I'll draw him a home. And he did. Every single day. Part 6. Claire's Breakdown. But not all days were gentle. One night, Claire came home late from work. Her hands were shaking. Her face was pale. And when she looked at the dinner table, already set by Emma, the kids waiting, she just broke. She dropped her bag, sat on the floor, and began to sob. Loud, raw, endless. Emma rushed over. "I can't do it," Claire whispered, her voice shattered. "I miss him so much. I don't want to be alone, Emma. I can't." Emma didn't know what to say. She just hugged her mother like her father once hugged her, tight, warm, and silent. And when Claire's cries softened, Emma whispered, "He didn't leave us, Mom. He left his love. We're not alone. We're still his family." That night, they didn't eat dinner. They just sat on the kitchen floor. Noah curled between them, and they held each other as if holding on to the last piece of James. Part 7. The Birthday Gift. Emma's 14th birthday came in March. She didn't want cake. She didn't want a party. She just wanted one thing: to hear her father's voice again. Claire gave her a small box with a quiet smile. Inside it was an old cassette tape, labeled, "For my Emma, love, Dad." Claire said, "I found it in the garage." Emma placed it in the old player and hit play. Then, his voice. "Hey, Em, if you're hearing this, you're probably taller than your mom now. Don't tell her I said that." She laughed through her tears. "I just wanted to tell you, I'm proud of you. I know you're going to grow up strong. And no matter where I am, I'll be cheering for you. Always." His voice ended with the sound of a kiss. Emma didn't cry this time. She smiled. Because somehow, through that old tape, he had just said, "Happy birthday." Part 8. Emma's first letter. The next morning, Emma sat alone by the window with a pen in her hand. The cassette from her dad still echoed in her ears. His voice, his love, his words that seemed to hug her through time. She took a deep breath, opened her notebook, and wrote, "Dear Dad, you said you'd be cheering for me, so I want you to know I'm trying. I make Noah's breakfast every morning. I walk him to school. I help him with his drawings. He misses you. We all do. But we talk about you every day. We remember your jokes. We still say, 'Dad would have said this and Dad would have done that.' And it makes us smile. Sometimes cry, but mostly smile. Mom has hard days. She hides it sometimes, but I see it. She still puts your coffee mug on the table each morning, like you might walk in and pick it up. I think I'm growing up faster than I should. But I promise you, Dad, I'll take care of them. Love you always, Emma." She folded the letter, placed it in the envelope, and put it beside her dad's framed note. Then she whispered, "This time, it's my turn." Part 9. The Unexpected Visitor. 2 weeks later, there was a knock at the door. Claire opened it to find a man standing there, older, kind-eyed, holding a small bag. He wore a faded jacket and had a familiar smile. "Are you Claire Thompson?" he asked gently. "Yes." "I'm George. I worked with your husband. James and I, we were partners." He once saved my life. Claire's eyes widened. George stepped inside, removing his hat. I heard what happened. I live 2 towns over now. I didn't know until recently. I'm so sorry. He reached into his bag and pulled out a small, wrapped package. He asked me to give you this, if anything ever happened to him. Claire stared at it. Her hands shook as she took it. Inside was a small wooden box, and inside that, another letter. Part 10. A Letter for the Future. This time, the handwriting was older, more thoughtful, more quiet. It said, "To my family in case I couldn't say goodbye. I don't believe in preparing for death, but I do believe in preparing love. If you're reading this, then the future came before I was ready. But I want you to know, you gave me more joy than a lifetime could hold. Every laugh, every meal, every bedtime story, I lived it all with gratitude. Claire, please remember, you were never just my wife. You were my anchor, my light. And Emma, you are already everything I ever dreamed a daughter could be. Strong, kind, wise beyond your years. And Noah, one day, when you grow up and read this, I hope you'll smile and know you were my sunshine. This box is empty now, but fill it with memories, letters, stories, anything you want. Make it a box of love, and maybe, one day, pass it on. Forever yours, James." Claire hugged the letter to her chest. Tears streamed silently, but in her heart, a new warmth grew. Love didn't die. It simply changed form. Part 11. The Box of Love. That same night, Claire placed the wooden box on the living room shelf. Not hidden, not packed away, but right where everyone could see it. Right where love belonged. She called Emma and Noah over. They sat on the couch together, in silence. Claire looked at them, really looked, and said softly, "He wanted us to fill this box." Emma whispered, "With what?" Claire smiled through the tears. "With our memories, with our love." That week, they began. Emma added her first letter, the one she wrote to her dad. The ink still fresh, the pain still raw. Claire folded a photo of their wedding night into a small envelope and placed it gently inside. Noah drew a picture. It was a big house in the sky, surrounded by stars. A man stood at the door, waving. He wrote one word under it. Dad. They placed it inside the box, one by one. And as they did, the grief didn't go away, but it softened. The love grew louder than the silence. Part 12. The Healing Begins. Spring came slowly. The days got longer, the nights a little less cold. Claire laughed again for the first time in weeks when Noah poured too much pancake batter and it spilled all over the counter. Emma started writing again. Not just letters to her dad, but stories. Stories of bravery, of loss, of hope. One day, she handed Claire a short story and said, "I think I want to become a writer." Claire held her close. "You already are." Every Friday night, they made it a tradition. They'd sit around the wooden box. Each person would share a memory or write something new to add. A letter, a drawing, a photo, a note, even a small joke James once told. Sometimes they laughed, Sometimes they cried. But every time, they healed. The box grew heavier, not with sorrow, but with love. Part 13. The Bench by the Lake. On Father's Day, Claire drove Emma and Noah to the lake where James once took them every summer. They brought a picnic. They brought his favorite cookies. They brought the wooden box. There, near the water, stood an old wooden bench. James had carved their names into it long ago. J plus C plus E plus N. Claire ran her fingers over the letters. "They're still here," she whispered. Emma took out a letter she wrote just that morning. She read it out loud. "Dear Dad, you missed so much, but you're still in everything. When Mom smiles, I see you. When Noah laughs, I hear you. When I write, I feel you. We're okay now. We still miss you. But your love, it never left. Love always, Emma." They placed the letter in the box and sat quietly. The sun set behind the trees, the sky turned golden, and for the first time in a long time, it didn't feel like goodbye. It felt like hello again. Part 14. The Letter. Noah wrote. It was a rainy afternoon. The kind of day James used to call story weather. Noah sat by the window, crayons in one hand, paper in the other. Emma watched him quietly, noticing how he stared out into the rain like he was listening for someone. Then, slowly, carefully, he began to write. Not draw, not color, but write. He walked over to Clare and handed her the page. "Can you put this in the box?" Clare took it gently, eyes already wet. "Dear Daddy, I miss you when it rains. I miss you when I sleep. I miss you when I draw stars. But I know you're not gone. Emma says you're in our hearts. Mom says you're in the sky. But I think you're in the quiet that feels warm, the quiet that feels safe, the quiet where we still feel loved. I love you, your little star, Noah." Claire hugged him tight, and when she placed the letter in the box, she whispered, "You're not just his little star, you're mine too." Part 15. 1 year later. A whole year passed. The pain didn't vanish, but it transformed into memories, into strength, into stories passed around the dinner table like sacred gifts. Emma got her first story published in the school magazine. It was called The Man Who Lives in the Sky. Claire started baking again, this time for neighbors. She gave away muffins in paper bags with little notes attached. "From our family to yours. Hold tight to love." Noah still drew stars, but now they had people in them, people with wings, people smiling, and the box, it was full, so they started a new one, and called it The Second Letter. Part 16. The Final Entry. One evening, on the exact day James had passed 1 year ago, they sat together again, Claire, Emma, and Noah. The wooden box between them. No one said a word at first. Then Emma reached for a pen, and together they wrote one final note, together, one hand after the other. "Dear Dad, we survived. Because your love didn't end when you did. Because we held each other tight. Because you taught us that family isn't just what we live with, it's what we live for. You gave us the kind of love that doesn't stop, not with distance, not with time, not even with death. So this isn't goodbye. Not now, not ever. We love you. We remember you. We live for you. Forever yours, Claire, Emma, and Noah. They placed the letter in the box, then closed it gently, and outside the window, the stars came out, quietly, beautifully, one by one, like tiny pieces of James smiling down on them. And in that moment, it didn't feel like the end. It felt like forever. The end.